The phone rang at 2 a.m., shattering the quiet peace of the Seattle apartment like a sudden crack of thunder. Samantha bolted upright in bed, her heart hammering against her ribs as she grabbed the vibrating device from the nightstand. "It's your uncle," the voice on the other end said, flat and urgent, without a trace of warmth. "Grandma's in the hospital. They say she might not make it through the night." Samantha's breath caught, the words landing like stones in her chest, because she knew this call wasn't about forgiveness or reconciliation. It was desperation, pure and simple, from the same family that had slammed the door on her 2 years earlier. She glanced over at Colette, who stirred beside her, the soft glow of the city lights filtering through the curtains onto her wife's peaceful face. At 23, Samantha had built a life here with Colette and her 5-year-old sister Lily, a fragile bubble of love and routine that felt worlds away from the conservative suburb where her extended family still clung to old traditions. Her parents had died in a car accident when Lily was 3, leaving Samantha as the sole guardian. And that was when everything fractured. She had come out to them all at the funeral, introducing Colette as the woman she loved, the one who had stood by her through the grief. The family turned their backs that day, calling her choice a stain on their honor, a betrayal of everything they stood for in their tight-knit community. No calls, no visits, just silence and the occasional glare at public events she no longer attended. Yet Samantha had never stopped caring. Every month, without fail, she wired money from a secret account to their struggling household, routing it through an anonymous donor service so they wouldn't know it came from her. It covered groceries, utilities, even the occasional medical bill, all while she worked long hours as a junior accountant at a downtown firm, scraped by on her salary, and poured every spare moment into raising Lily. Colette supported her emotionally, their evenings filled with quiet dinners and bedtime stories, but the weight of the secret pressed on Samantha like an invisible chain. "We'll figure it out," she whispered to Colette now, squeezing her hand as she slipped out of bed. But deep down, she felt the pull of old loyalties warring with the life she had chosen, the one where loving a woman openly meant standing alone. By morning, Samantha had arranged for Lily to stay at daycare and drove alone to the hospital, the rain-slicked highways mirroring the turmoil in her mind. The waiting room smelled of stale coffee and antiseptic, and her family was already there. Uncle Mark pacing with his arms crossed, Aunt Linda clutching a tissue, and a few cousins huddled in the corner. Their eyes met hers with the same cold dismissal she remembered from the funeral. "What are you doing here?" Uncle Mark demanded, his voice low but sharp enough to cut. "This isn't your place anymore." Aunt Linda nodded, her lips pressed thin. "Your lifestyle has already torn us apart. Don't make this worse." Samantha swallowed hard, the familiar sting of rejection rising in her throat, but she stayed, offering quiet words of support to the nurses and listening as the doctor explained Grandma's fragile condition, a heart issue complicated by years of stress and unpaid bills. The tension thickened when the hospital administrator pulled Uncle Mark aside about an outstanding balance that could delay critical treatment. Samantha's hand instinctively moved toward her wallet, but she stopped herself. Revealing her role now would expose everything, the secret transfers that had kept their lights on without forcing them to confront her truth. Instead, she sat silently through the hours, watching her family whisper among themselves, their faces etched with pride and fear. Back home that evening, after picking up Lily and tucking her into bed with a story about brave princesses who loved other princesses, Samantha collapsed onto the couch beside Colette. "They still hate me for us," she said, her voice cracking. Colette pulled her close, her touch steady and warm. "Your love for them doesn't erase what we have. But I see how this tears you up." Samantha nodded, knowing the calls and hospital visits were just the start. The family needed more help, and her monthly wires were about to become impossible to hide. The drama was building, pulling her between the woman she loved and the relatives who once defined her world, and she had no idea how long she could keep the balance. The next few days blurred into a relentless cycle of hospital runs and whispered arguments that left Samantha exhausted in ways no amount of coffee could fix. She increased the anonymous transfer that month, routing an extra $1,000 through the same discreet service she had used since the accident, the one that masked her name behind layers of legal paperwork. It had started innocently enough right after the funeral, when she overheard Uncle Mark complaining about mounting debts on a call she wasn't supposed to hear. Her parents' life insurance had barely covered the basics, And with Grandma's health declining, the family was sinking. Samantha, fresh out of college and suddenly a single parent to Lily, had vowed then that her sexuality wouldn't mean abandoning them completely. So she worked overtime, skipped lunches, and funneled the surplus into that secret account, telling herself it was just temporary until they came around. Colette knew about the money from the beginning, of course. They had met at a company orientation 2 years prior. Colette, a graphic designer with a quick laugh and kind eyes that saw straight through Samantha's guarded facade. Their first date had been a simple coffee run that turned into hours of talking about dreams and losses. And by the time Samantha introduced her at the funeral, Colette was already the anchor keeping her afloat. "You're carrying too much alone," Colette said one night as they washed dishes together, Lily asleep in the next room. "If they knew it was you helping, maybe they'd finally see the real you." But Samantha shook her head, drying a plate with mechanical motions. "Their honor means everything in that community. Admitting they took money from a lesbian daughter would be like admitting defeat. I can't risk the backlash hitting Lily or you." The betrayals started small. Cousin Rachel, who had once been Samantha's closest confidant in high school, cornered her in the hospital hallway during one visit. "I saw the transfer records on Mark's phone," Rachel whispered, her eyes darting nervously. "The anonymous donor matches your old account number from college. Why are you doing this? It's like you're begging for their approval while living your sin." Samantha's stomach twisted, fear flooding her veins. "It's not about approval. It's about family. Grandma needs the treatment." Rachel backed away, muttering about community gossip and how Samantha's choice was already making waves at church events. The confrontation left Samantha reeling, her career suddenly feeling precarious too. At the accounting firm, whispers had started after she updated her marital status in HR, colleagues glancing sideways during meetings, and her boss hinting at delayed promotions for team-fit reasons. Raising Lily meant stability was non-negotiable. Yet the family drama threatened to unravel it all. Meanwhile, the hospital bills mounted, and Uncle Mark's pride kept him from accepting open help. Samantha found herself lying to Colette about extra client meetings, actually spending those hours at the bank adjusting transfers to cover the gaps. Lily, sensing the tension, asked innocent questions during bath time. "Why doesn't Grandma want to meet me? Is it because of Colette?" Samantha's heart shattered as she hugged the little girl close, explaining in simple terms that some grown-ups were scared of different kinds of love. Colette's support never wavered. Their weekends became escapes, picnics in the park where they held hands openly, Lily chasing butterflies between them, moments of joy that reminded Samantha why she fought so hard. But the psychological toll grew heavier each day. She replayed old family dinners in her mind, the laughter before everything changed, wondering if her truth had truly destroyed them, or if fear had done the real damage. The secret was cracking under the pressure. And when a bank notification pinged on her phone one afternoon about a routine audit flag on the donor account, Samantha knew the revelation was inevitable. The choice loomed closer. Keep hiding to shield them from the scandal of her identity, or let the truth spill and face the irreversible fallout. Weeks turned into a pressure cooker of late-night drives and forced smiles, Samantha juggling her job, Lily's kindergarten schedule, and the endless hospital updates while Colette held down the fort at home. The firm had assigned her a major client project, the kind that could finally push her toward senior accountant status, but the rumors about her marriage had reached the partners. During a team lunch, one colleague made a veiled comment about personal choices affecting professionalism, and Samantha felt her cheeks burn as she forced a laugh. Her performance reviews started hinting at distractions, code for the life she refused to hide. Colette noticed the strain during their evening walks, Lily skipping ahead on the sidewalk. "You're fading, Sam. This family stuff is eating you alive. Maybe it's time to stop the money and let them stand on their own." Samantha squeezed Colette's hand tighter, the city lights reflecting in her wife's eyes. "I can't. They're blood. Even if they turned away, I won't." The romantic moments became lifelines amid the chaos. One Saturday, after a grueling hospital shift, they escaped to a quiet park overlooking the water, Lily playing on the swings while Samantha and Colette sat on a bench, fingers intertwined. The sun warmed their skin, and for a brief hour, the world narrowed to just them, Colette leaning in with a soft kiss that spoke of unwavering love. "No matter what happens with them, we have this," Colette murmured. Samantha nodded, but the peace shattered when her phone buzzed with a text from Aunt Linda. The bills are piling up. If you know anyone who can help anonymously again, tell them. The irony stung. Samantha wired more that night, her fingers trembling on the keyboard. Knowing each transfer deepened the lie. Lily's innocent questions grew sharper too. At bedtime, the 5-year-old curled against her, asking, "When can we all be a big family like in my books?" Samantha's voice caught as she explained that families come in all shapes, some just take longer to understand. The betrayals intensified when Rachel leaked hints to the wider family network. At a community potluck Samantha avoided but heard about through gossip chains, whispers spread that the donor might be tied to her, painting her as some desperate manipulator trying to buy back favor. Uncle Mark confronted her outside the hospital one rainy evening, his face twisted with anger and confusion. "If it's you sending that money, stop it. We don't want charity from someone living against God's will." Samantha stood her ground, voice steady despite the tears pricking her eyes. "It's not charity. It's love. The same love you taught me growing up." He walked away without another word, but the damage was done. Colette found her later in the apartment, sobbing quietly in the kitchen. "They're making you choose between us and them," Colette said, holding her close. The psychological war raged inside Samantha, her identity as a wife and guardian clashing with the daughter they once knew. Career pressures mounted when her boss pulled her aside about reputation management, suggesting she tone down her public life with Colette to secure the promotion. The dilemma sharpened. Protect the family's fragile honor by keeping her full truth buried, or embrace her love openly and risk watching them crumble without her secret support. The turning point came when Grandma's condition worsened again, forcing a family meeting where the money trail could no longer stay hidden. The family meeting happened in Grandma's hospital room on a gray Thursday afternoon, the air thick with unspoken accusations and the beep of monitors. Samantha arrived last, her professional blouse still wrinkled from the office, Lily safe with Colette at home. Uncle Mark had called it urgently, citing new insurance complications, and as everyone gathered, Rachel's nervous glances told Samantha the secret was about to crack wide open. "The bank flagged the donor account," Uncle Mark announced, slapping a printed statement on the bedside table. "It's traced back to Samantha. All these months she's been the one sending the money." The room erupted in a mix of shock and outrage. Aunt Linda gasped, covering her mouth, while a cousin muttered about scandal in their church group. Grandma, weak but lucid, turned her head slowly. "Is this true, child?" Samantha nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "I couldn't let you suffer. Not even after everything." The confrontation turned vicious. Uncle Mark accused her of manipulation, claiming the transfers were a ploy to force acceptance of her lifestyle. "You've humiliated us," he spat. "The community will hear about this, and our name will be dragged through the mud because of your choices." Samantha's chest tightened, the years of quiet sacrifice boiling over into raw emotion. "My choice was to love Colette and raise Lily the best I could. The money was never about control. It was because I still care." Rachel, the betrayer, stepped forward then, her voice trembling with fear. "I told a few people at church. They said we should cut ties completely to protect our reputation." The betrayal hit like a slap, Rachel's words echoing the fear that had driven the family away from the start. Samantha felt her world tilt, the career she had fought for now hanging by a thread as word spread to her firm's partners through community connections. Colette sensed the shift when Samantha returned home that night, eyes red-rimmed. "They know everything now," Samantha confessed over dinner, Lily chattering obliviously about her day. Colette listened, then pulled her into an embrace that felt both comforting and fragile. "This is your moment to choose, Sam. Publicly stand with us, or let their honor dictate your life forever." The drama escalated the next day when a local newspaper contact, tipped by family gossip, reached out for a story on hidden family support in the LGBT community. Samantha's phone wouldn't stop ringing, her boss demanding a meeting about public image. Lily's school even called, concerned about playground whispers affecting the child. Samantha spent sleepless nights weighing the options: go fully public with a statement affirming her marriage and the support, risking total family cutoff and community backlash that could cost her job and Lily's stability, or withdraw the money, pretend the donor was a stranger, and protect their honor at the expense of her truth. The irreversible decision loomed, Her love for Colette and Lily pulling one way, the blood ties and fear of their pain pulling the other. High noon brought the climax Samantha had dreaded. A final family gathering at Uncle Mark's house where Grandma had been discharged to recover. The living room felt smaller than ever, filled with the same faces that had once celebrated her childhood milestones. Samantha arrived with Colette by her side this time, a deliberate choice that drew sharp intakes of breath. Lily stayed home with a sitter, shielded from the storm. "We can't keep pretending," Samantha said as soon as the door closed, her voice steady despite the pounding in her chest. "The money was mine. Every dollar. Because family doesn't end when someone loves differently." The room exploded again. But this time the truth hung heavy and undeniable. Aunt Linda broke first, tears streaming as she admitted the bills had nearly broken them. "We were too proud to ask," she whispered. Uncle Mark, however, doubled down. "Your public life with her is the real problem. If the community finds out we accepted help from that, our reputation is finished." The betrayals layered deeper. Rachel confessed she had already shared details online in a private group, sparking calls from relatives demanding Samantha fix the image by downplaying her marriage. Colette stood tall beside her, hand in Samantha's, but the tension tested even their bond. "I won't hide us," Colette said quietly during a break in the arguments. "Not anymore." Samantha's career hung in the balance too. Her boss had left a voicemail that morning about potential layoffs tied to external controversies. The psychological battle peaked when Grandma spoke from her chair, voice frail but clear. "I always knew it was you, Samantha. Your heart was always bigger than our rules." That moment cracked the facade, but Uncle Mark's final stand sealed the drama. "Choose now. Stay with your wife publicly and we cut every tie. Or step back from the spotlight to save our name and keep helping us." The choice was laid bare. Public affirmation of her love, risking isolation and professional ruin, or a compromise that betrayed Colette and herself to protect the family's honor from further scandal. Samantha's mind raced through the years of secret support. The joy with Colette, Lily's trusting eyes. The decision crystallized in that instant, irreversible and heavy with consequence. Samantha stood in the center of the room, the weight of every eye pressing down as the family waited for her answer. "I won't hide who I am," she said finally, her voice ringing with quiet resolve. "Colette is my wife, my partner in everything. The money stops today because love can't be bought with secrets. If that means you turn away forever, then so be it. But I choose us." Gasps rippled through the group, Uncle Mark's face hardening into final rejection, while Aunt Linda reached out hesitantly. Grandma nodded slowly, a tear slipping down her cheek, but the others followed Mark's lead, the door closing on any hope of reconciliation. The fallout came fast. The community whispers turned to open judgment. Her firm placed her on unpaid leave citing reputational risk, and for weeks Samantha scraped by on savings while Colette picked up extra design gigs. Lily sensed the change, asking fewer questions about the other family, as their apartment became a tighter, more intentional home. Yet the price was paid in full. Samantha's career stalled, forcing her to freelance accounting work that barely covered basics, and the emotional scars lingered in sleepless nights replaying the confrontations. Colette's unwavering presence became the steady light, their evenings now filled with deeper conversations and plans for a future built solely on their own terms. Lily thrived in the love-filled bubble, her drawings featuring 2 moms and a big happy house. Months later, a single letter arrived from Grandma, a quiet thank you that acknowledged the truth without full acceptance, but it was enough to signal that some bridges might one day rebuild on new ground. Samantha had protected her own identity at the cost of the family ties she once cherished, proving that truth once spoken demanded its due. The irreversible choice had reshaped everything, leaving her stronger in her love, but forever changed by the loss. True or false? Family honor is always worth more than living your truth openly?